Hello everyone, this is Andrew, the Convo Guy. Today we'll be discussing water, specifically why individuals don't drink enough water. 60% of the human body consists of water. If water is the basis of human life, people should be drinking more water, right? It is recommended that we drink 8 glasses of water, but for men, we are required to drink 15.5 cups, which is equivalent to 3.7 liters, and for women, they're recommended to drink 11.5 cups of water, which is equivalent to 2.7 liters. There are various factors that I have comprised of that are reasons as to why people don't drink enough water. To me, those factors are lifestyle, less advertisement that promote more water intake, regions in the world where water is accessible and not accessible, age, bad stigma that comes with drinking water in public, and a distrust in government. And with those factors being listed, I plan on diving in. The first factor as to why I feel like people don't drink enough water is due to lifestyle. An individual that's upper middle class and up have the time and resources to invest in the quality of water that they choose to put into their body. Not only do they have the time and resources to invest in the type of water they wish to put in their body, in general, they could naturally consume more water due to the less stress that they're under. Because due to the financial stability that they're in. Now, with someone that's lower middle class and under, they're consistently stressed trying to meet both ends. So drinking quality water or just water in general is one of the things that are the least in the back of their mind. So with that being said, your occupation really depends on whether you'll be interested in drinking water or if you'll be interested in drinking good quality water. Now let's talk about athletes. NBA players run an average of 2.3 miles a game. Soccer players run an average of 7 miles a game. NFL players run an average of 1.25 miles a game. MLB players don't run much except for when they hit a home run and have to run all bases before heading into the dugout. In general, these athletes have to be in top-notch condition. They have to be well conditioned, parentheses, hydrated. To be conditioned, you have to be hydrated. With that being said, these athletes are promoted by the organizations that they play for, along with the sport agents that represent them, that they have to be hydrated and conditioned throughout the regular season and the off season. There are consequences that come with not being hydrated. If a player returns from the off season to training camp not well conditioned, aka not well hydrated, they could be cut from that team in the sense that the organization is paying this player millions. So in a situation where an athlete is not treating or conditioning his body well, aka not being hydrated, he or she could be cut from a team. So that just shows you the importance of being hydrated for athletes. So in general, I just feel like these advertisement program individuals to not want to go out their way to drink water. Let's start in the morning with breakfast. When you have your breakfast, you usually have that breakfast with coffee, tea, a hot latte, frappuccino, or lemonade. Then throughout your day, you try to stay hydrated by consuming soda, energy drinks, or sport drinks. Your soda could consist of a Sprite, Coca-Cola, or Fanta. As far as your energy drink, these are basically caffeinated drinks that give you a short-lived buzz similar to a cigarette. So these drinks are basically a 5-hour energy, a Monster, or a Red Bull. And as far as sport drinks, these are drinks that provide carbohydrates, which fuel electrolytes for a long period of time. So in reality, we depend on these type of drugs to hydrate us, when in reality, we should be depending on water to to be the key factor into aiding our cells, our brain, and our central nervous system. But in reality, we're just naturally gravitated. These ads program us to go after these different type of liquids that don't benefit us in the long run, but just give us that short boost. Let's say you are on the cycle from Monday through Friday. You wake up in the morning, coffee and all these other drinks that I gave. Hydrate yourself throughout the rest of the day. You go after those three different categories of drinks. You do that from Monday through Friday, on top of seeking alcoholic beverages on your weekends. That gives you little to no room to have water intake. So imagine doing that. Imagine being on that type of schedule for years. You're causing damage to your cells, your brain, your central nervous system, your digestive system, etc. So, in general, I just feel like these advertisement program us to seek less and less water. The third factor is to why I feel like people don't drink enough water is due to regions in the world where water is accessible and not accessible. When I took a summer trip back in 2021 to the Ivory Coast, I noticed that the people there have a great appreciation for water. They highly respect it, and it's something that they take in into their day-to-day life. Now, if we come here in the West, we notice that the majority of places have water, but not every water is worth consuming. What do I mean by that? In 2014, the US experienced one of the worst public health crises involving water contamination in the Flint, Michigan water crisis. Long story short, Flint was broke. They was out of money, so they wanted to change their water supply, and they wanted to change their water supply from Lake Huron to Flint River. And upon doing so, citizens of Flint noticed a significant difference in the quality of their water. Right away, they noticed that there was a smell to their water, along with a discoloration in their water, in the sense that it was brownish and greenish. And this led to 100,000 people being affected, especially 12,000 children. These people that were affected had skin rashes, changes to their development. It basically led to behavior, speech problems, and just issues in the long run. And a similar situation like what happened in Flint occurred in Jackson, Mississippi. In early 2021, a series of snowstorms froze the water pipes, and it prevented individuals from having access to drinking water for up to a month. And unfortunately, 2 weeks later, a flood damaged Jackson's treatment plant, which prevented them from having access to clean drinking water due to the damage of the main city's treatment plant. So with that being said, that could drink the water, but you don't know the amount of lead or contaminants, bacteria, viruses, chlorine, fluoride that's in that water. So these citizens, I believe the amount of people that were affected was 160,000. So these individuals were forced to boil their water before drinking it. They were forced to solely depend on bottled water. So with that being said, I just believe this third factor shows that depending on where you're at in the world depends if you're going to have access to drinking water or not. The four factors to why I feel like people don't drink enough water is due to age. When you're young, you're naturally attracted to the energy drinks, sport drinks, sodas, and other drinks that the media advertises that we're just programmed to go after. And it doesn't take until you're much older in life where you feel like, okay, I've experienced life. Water's the way to go. If my body consists of 60% of water, let me stick to water. So, but then I can't speak for all the youth because I remember when I was a kid, I was always active. I was always outside. Due to always being outside, water was the way to go. Now with the kids nowadays, they're always on the phones, they're attracted to technology, they're always inside. So with that being said, if they have a quench for something, they're naturally gonna go after what they see in these advertisement, which is the sport drinks, the energy drinks, the alcoholic beverages, and less on water. So I really believe age does play a factor. The fifth factor as to why I feel like water is not consumed as much is due to the bad stigma that comes with drinking water in public. What do I mean by that? Let's say you go out to a restaurant and the server comes to you and takes your meal. They ask you what you wanted to drink and you say you wanted water. In that server's mind, they feel like you're broke. You don't have money to tip them. So now they won't be as gravitated to coming to your table as much. They're gonna invest their time and they're gonna invest their time on other tables where they feel like people are more likely to tip them. So in their eyes, by you getting that water to go with your meal, they feel like you just, you're gonna lowball them. Whereas if you would have ordered a soda or an alcoholic beverage, that's a sign of them feeling like you're gonna tip them. That feels like in their eyes, they feel like you have more money to spend. So more money meaning you're gonna tip more. So you go into a restaurant, water is just you get stereotyped. Whereas you getting a non-water beverage, it sounds like you got more money. So you getting water in their eyes, even if you're someone that wants to drink water for the sake of being more healthy, in the eyes of that server, they feel like you're just a clown that's not willing to spend more money. So they feel like, what was the whole point of you coming out if you're just coming to get some water? The sixth factor as to why I feel like people don't drink enough water is due to a distrust that citizens have in the government. Now, I gave two water crises that happened in two different decades. The Flint water crisis happening in 2014 and the Jackson, Mississippi water crisis that's happened early 21 and is still going on. These two examples were the water is being contaminated with lead and other contaminants show that highlight a distrust in the state and federal government. Now it's also good to note that these two cities, Flint, Michigan and Jackson, Mississippi, are cities that have a high black demographic group. So now it gets you thinking that are there certain regions in the US where they're just bad water in general? Does the government have poor water quality in certain regions of the world where there's poverty? It just gets you thinking. So, and also, I should also highlight that the current Jackson, Mississippi water crisis that's going on is going to take $1 billion for Jackson, Mississippi to fix that water treatment plant to give them access to clean drinking water. 1 billion. The city, the state and federal government has only offered 130 million. So with that being said, how are they going to get the rest of the money to build this water treatment plant that's going to finally give access to drinking water? So this means that in the long run, the citizens of Jackson, Mississippi are going to continue having poor quality of water. This is something that's going to be ongoing for years to come. So it just gets you thinking. Flint, Michigan, they were being given water that had lead and other contaminants in it. A decade later, 2021, you got individuals in another city in the US where the federal government doesn't want to assist in helping construct a water plant that's going to give them access to better drinking water. So I just feel like in general, people may turn on their faucet and water's coming out of it, but due to not having a trust in the officials that run that state, And the country, they may just feel that since they're being neglected on other facets of society, why should I even trust the water that's coming out my faucet? So yeah, a distrust in the state and federal government pressures people to not even trust the water that they're being provided with. For those individuals that are interested in drinking more quality water, this topic is for you. Bottled water is advertised as good water, but not all bottled water is viewed as good. Water in its default state, in its natural state, has a pH water of 7. But when you start adding contaminants and lead and chlorine and fluoride, it starts being more acidic. With those items that I listed not being in your water, that's what makes water have a pH level of 7 or higher. So the more water doesn't have those those contaminants, it starts having a higher pH level. There are bottle brands that have a pH level of 7 and higher. I'm not going to discuss the ones that are underneath 7 because there's no point. I'm going to talk about the ones that have a pH level of 7 and plus. I plan on diving into the brands of water that have a 7 plus pH level. The reason why I don't plan on talking about the ones that are 7 and underneath is because the EPA, the agency that checks the water quality that we have, they recommend a pH level of 6.5 to 8.5. With that being said, me personally, I'm gonna disregard. I don't know why they included 6.5. I'm gonna just say that should have just said 7 plus, because with 6.5 being a level that's underneath the Fiji 7.6 to 7.7, Evian 7.4 to 7.5, Esca 7.8 to 8, Icelandic 8.4, Essentia 8.5, Evermore 8.8 to 9.1, Alkaline 10, Mountain Valley Spring Water 7.3 to 7.7. So you may ask me why I chose to talk about the consumption of water. Well, I chose to do this because we live in such a deceptive world. I go to my day-to-day life seeing two sides. I see people that don't drink water at all, and then I see people that think that they're drinking good water. And I'm in the middle. It's like, I admit I don't drink enough water, but then when I do drink enough water, I don't drink the BS water, that the BS bottled water. I would go out my way to drink water that's worth consuming. So I'm in the middle. So that's why I went out my way to do this topic, because I'm seeing both worlds. I'm seeing people that are so programmed, are so gravitated to go after liquids that have nothing to do with what they should really be pouring into their body. Now let's be real. We've all worked with these individuals that don't care about water. They don't care. All day Sprite, all day Gatorade. So that lets you know the type of lifestyle they live. It hits when the weekend hits, all alcoholic beverage, no water in their day-to-day life. So I'm seeing the individuals that don't care about water at all, and then I'm seeing the other half, people that think they're doing their body justice by getting any bottled brand, the Dasani, and then you're seeing the deception. It's like these people think just because it's in a bottle that they're well off, but no, there's certain bottled water that aren't worth consuming. You might as well drink tap water if you're gonna be drinking Dasani. But that just shows you how people just see 10% of what's above the iceberg, but then not the other 90%. So being in the middle and then seeing both worlds, it made me want to talk about this podcast topic. Reasons why people don't drink enough water, the type of bottled water that people should be drinking, and alternatives that people should seek if they don't want to consistently spend their money on these bottle brands, because these are going to be costly. Doing this topic showed me that we live in a very deceptive world. We live in a deceptive world because you got the people that don't know that they're not doing anything wrong. The people that don't drink water at all don't think they're doing anything wrong because they're like kids, where it's like, I'm living my life thinking I'm doing everything right. And then you got the ones drinking bottled water, just any bottled water, thinking I'm definitely doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But being in the middle, I'm seeing that, and it's worse than the ones that aren't drinking water at all, because it's like, dang, you are drinking bottled water, but you just being deceived yourself. So this topic, I just wasn't trying to ramble about, yeah, these are the factors, these are the type of water brands that you should be drinking. It was more as a wake up call to just other things that are just happening in life. Just being in the middle and just seeing what was happening 360, it made me want to really dive into the deception that I've seen in my corner. So that's everything.